Argentina is living in a dream world. That's how one of that nation's leading writers has described the situation in his country.
Now, CKND Firstnews update.
Hundreds of Winnipeggers gathered in Memorial Park today to send a long letter to American President Ronald Reagan.
CKND First News with Marjorie Salke, Stan Kubacek, and Joe Piscucci.
Good evening, everyone. Earlier today, Premier Howard Pauley officially signaled the resumption of construction on the multi-billion-dollar limestone hydroelectric project.
CKND First News update.
Good afternoon. Tempers flared at a meeting of the Confederation of Regions Party over leader Elmer Knudsen's refusal to answer questions concerning his leadership and party finances. In fact, Knudsen adjourned last night's meeting in Brandon before anyone had a chance to ask any questions.
CKND First News with Marjorie Salke, Stan Kubacek, and Ron Kuipers.
Winnipeg's latest showpiece, Portage Place, threw open its doors to the public today, and shoppers flocked to the downtown area to view the new surroundings. The first of a number of contempt charges against West Bear picketers was found guilty today. And the government has again turned down opposition demands for the resignation of Solicitor General James Kelleher over the CSIS affair. Good evening, everyone. Well, it's designed to stimulate activity in downtown Winnipeg, and it did just that, as Portage Place, Winnipeg's new downtown shopping mall, officially opened this morning.
CKND First News with Brian Swain, Stan Kubacek, and Joe Piscucci.
Good evening. A severe storm struck Greater Winnipeg around 7 o'clock this evening, knocking out power lines, flooding streets, and causing very heavy property damage to several buildings.
Here is a CKND First News update. Good Friday was commemorated around the world today, and in the Philippines, at least 11 people were nailed to the cross to symbolize Christ's suffering.
CKND First News at noon with Marjorie Salke, brought to you in part by iMasters.
Good afternoon, everyone. RCMP have confirmed the body discovered in a ditch near Birds Hill Park on Saturday was that of cab driver Paramjit Singh.
CKND First News with Diana Swain and Stan Kubacek. Stan Kubacek and Ron Kuipers.
Plans are underway to build a new arena in Winnipeg. Good evening. The federal government may be ready to make a land swap with the city of Winnipeg for the construction of a new arena.
This is CKND's AgriNoon, the current agriculture news, commodity quotations, and regional farm weather forecast. Brought to you by Inns Brothers Farm Equipment.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Marjorie Salke. First with the Agri-News. Manitoba Pulse crop growers have become the first commodity group to take advantage of legislation encouraging producer checkoffs.
Good morning and welcome to Good Company. I'm Pam Evans. Gee, I don't know if it's great to be here in the studio again after having so much fun with Mark Dreesen at the home show.
Here is a CKND First News update.
Good evening. Hundreds of Manitobans are waiting at border crossings this hour, trying to bring back American liquor to this province.
CKND First News. With Jacqueline Clark, Ron Kuipers, and Mark Dreesen.
A body is found in St. James near the perimeter. Winnipeg's utility rates and transit fares are going up. The city's Jewish community celebrates Hanukkah. And in sports, the Canucks tried to do the Jets a favor in Edmonton tonight. Good evening. A body was found by Winnipeg police tonight near some railway tracks in St. James.
The future of gambling in the Roseau Reserve in southern Manitoba could be affected by a Supreme Court decision on a similar situation in Ontario.
10 seconds to live. Stand by. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Kenora is tired of waiting because of the potential for 170 jobs.
Tonight on CKND Sportsline, Blue Jays on the brink of winning the East. The Jays still have some decisions to make. And inside the CFL with the Bombers, Chris Walby. Good evening, everybody. I'm Ron Kuipers. And I'm Joe Pascucci. Also tonight on Sportsline, Scott Bowman back behind the bench. Ron Hextall gets suspended again. And the King, Richard Petty, retires. Sort of.
There will be no celebration on the streets of Winnipeg tonight. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers went down to defeat at the hands of the Calgary Stampeders 24-10 in the Grey Cup this evening. The Bombers were never in the game, trailing 17-0 at halftime.
10 seconds to live. Stand by. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Coming up on CKND Weekend Sports, the NHL Eastern semifinals faced off this afternoon.
Tonight on Newsline, safety patrols start walking the beach, hoping to avoid another summer of drownings on Lake Winnipeg.
This CKND Sports Update is brought to you by CGA, Certified General Accountants, providing business solutions for the real world.
Hi, everyone. I'm Darren Millard. There could be a big shakeup coming in Phoenix. Another loss tonight in St. Louis may result in a coyote firing by the weekend.
Or will Winnipeg pay to help outlying towns get a clean supply?
And an expensive plan to keep Winnipeg motoring into the next century.
This is Global News, live from Winnipeg, with John Loveland, Kristen Firth, Curtis Moore, Lisa Best, and Joe Pascucci.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
It's shaping up to be a multi-million-dollar battle between the city of Winnipeg and its bedroom communities. Complete highlights and analysis of today's budgets. Join us tonight for Global News.
Good afternoon. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight at 6 on Global News. Day 2 on the witness stand for a city police officer who shot a man to death.
Tonight on Global News, True Patriot Love. Winnipeg celebrates Canada Day. Good evening. 132 years as a nation. This is Canada Day. Thousands of Winnipeggers are standing on guard in celebration of our heroes and our heritage.
Good evening, I'm Derek Oliver. Here's what we're working on for Global News at 10:30. A financial blueprint with something in it for almost everyone. Rookie Finance Minister John Manley brings down his first budget today.
We will have to have a new terminal opened sometime in 2007.
Terminal takeoff. Winnipeg's airport sets their sights on a major upgrade.
It's just making the overall atmosphere a lot better now.
Open for business. The new downtown campus helps boost area businesses.
That bear is so important to us. Tundra tourism protecting Churchill's polar bears.
Come on down. And the colorful cowboy celebrates 5 decades in the furniture business.
Live from Winnipeg, this is Global News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The Winnipeg International Airport has its sights set on a multi-million-dollar upgrade.
This robbery is very unique indeed.
A truck loaded with cigarettes is hijacked. The driver kidnapped during an early morning heist.
Some of the kids were quite traumatized.
Thieves steal the play structure from a daycare in the West End.
They were very polite, very friendly, very helpful.
And the walkout by Parks Canada workers could be one of the most polite strikes ever. Good evening. A daring heist, the first of its kind here in Winnipeg, and a terrifying morning for a truck driver.
The 50 goals in less than 50 games barrier is broken by Anders Hedberg. On your mark, get set, go. Doug Smale sets an NHL record for the fastest goal. And Teemu Selanne proves he was no Finnish flash in the pan. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Global Sports. It happened at the arena. I'm Joe Pascucci. In the next half hour, we'll look back on a few of the outstanding and unique hockey moments that have taken place in the last 35 years of the nearly 50-year history of the Winnipeg Arena. We'll also hear from former Jet players who will talk about their experiences in Winnipeg.
Tonight on the Evening News.
The Olympic torch relay makes its way back to the Keystone Province.
It's kind of a creepy thought.
Travelers going through the gates at Winnipeg's airport will soon be subject to a new controversial scanner.
With what they offered, I couldn't accept.
And why one Breezy Point homeowner doesn't want to be bought out by the province.
From Global Winnipeg, the Evening News with Nicole Dubé.
Hello, thanks for joining us. Peter Chura is off tonight. The Olympic torch has arrived in Winnipeg, and riding a wave of Canadian pride, Winnipeggers have lined the streets along the torch route tonight.
Tonight on Prime News.
He loved you so much that night, he was out looking for hookers and crap.
Outrage after a man is finally convicted of murder in the Phil Hayert trial, 2 years after the innocent bystander was shot to death.
From Global Winnipeg, Prime News with Nicole Dubé.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A Winnipeg man has been sentenced to life in prison for the shooting death of Phil Hayert. Corey Spence was a youth at the time of the 2005 gang shootout that killed Hayert, an innocent bystander.
Tonight on News Final.
A chemical spill in St. Boniface sends 3 people to hospital.
From the Global Winnipeg studios, News Final with Eva Kovacs.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A chemical spill in the St. Boniface Industrial Park sent 3 people to hospital this evening.
8:23. Thanks for sticking with us on the morning news on Global Winnipeg.
It is Friday, January 4th. This is the Assiniboine Credit Union River Trail at Forks. It's going to get even longer tomorrow thanks to the consistently cold weather. More to come on that later in the show. Here's what else you'll see in the news tonight.
Tonight on the Evening News.
I didn't really even see it coming. It just kind of happened.
What caused a bizarre crash through a busy coffee shop parking lot?
You're going to tick them off, they're going to go somewhere else.
And how you could be dinged by what small businesses call an unfair fee.
I'm Kaylee Hamilton. A mostly sunny Saturday, but bundle up. The wind chill may cool off your weekend plans. Your Sky Tracker forecast is coming up on the Evening News.
From the Global Winnipeg studios, the Evening News with Peter Chura.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A bizarre crash near Lindenwoods caused plenty of damage and sent 1 person to hospital this morning.
Tonight on Prime News.
Some relief in Fort Rouge as police arrest a suspect connected to a summertime arson spree.
From the Global Winnipeg studios, Prime News with Shannon Martin.
Thanks for joining us. After feeling terrorized in their own neighborhood, residents in Fort Rouge finally have some relief.
Tonight on News Final.
Concerns in how safe the city's bridges are following a deadly crash earlier this week.
From the Global Winnipeg studios, News Final with Brenna Rose.
Thanks for joining us. Heather is away tonight. Police are still investigating the horrific crash on the Disraeli Bridge that killed a 19-year-old woman.
Tonight on NewsHour Final.
Last year was weird. We never had winter.
What a difference a year makes. How the Forks River Trail is taking advantage of the cold weather.
From the Global Winnipeg studios, News Hour Final with Heather Steele.
Thanks for joining us. A crash involving a police cruiser has sent 3 people to hospital tonight.
From Global Winnipeg, this is Focus Manitoba with Lorraine McNabb.
Hello and welcome to Focus Manitoba. A shot from center ice, a free throw from center court, a kick from the 50-yard line. You've seen fans attempt them before, for money, for prizes, for glory.
The stakes, winner take all in the most closely fought election campaign in years. The NDP's Greg Selinger facing voters for the first time since taking the reins of the party that's governed for 12 years. Progressive Conservative Hugh McFadden, his best and perhaps last chance to return his Tories to power. And lone Liberal John Gerard fighting for his political survival. In a battle over who will come first, you have the last word. Polls have closed, and you are about to deliver your decision for Manitoba.
Good evening and welcome to Decision Manitoba, your provincial election headquarters for live results, analysis, reaction from the winners and losers, and we also want to hear from you online with real-time blogging at globalwinnipeg.com. Now, the polls have just closed. The data from the polling stations is being fed in. We can expect results any minute.
8:31, you're watching the morning news on Global Winnipeg. Let's take a look at our news headlines. A family is in mourning after a 9-year-old dies in hospital following a tragic accident. Anger overflows. Charleswood residents sound off after enduring 10 water main breaks this winter.
It is going to be a cold week. Today we'll see the sunshine. Tomorrow flurries are in the forecast with a little bit more snow towards the southwest. Right now, minus 26. Temperatures not really changing as we get into the afternoon, which is unfortunate. It feels like minus 41 out there. Now for a look at the roads, we'll show you Smith and Graham, our drive through this area. Nice and light. Our one problem in the city is a stall westbound Fermor at Lash. We'll get an update on that with Justine, and I'll be back with your Sky Tracker forecast on the morning news.
You're watching Morning News on Global Winnipeg.
It's a heartbreaking story that took another tragic turn over the weekend.
Your taxes are going up, and now your water bill is set to rise too.
As the city confirms yet another hike, we examine whether it's time to look to expanding bedroom communities for help.
Should commuters who choose to live outside the city start contributing to Winnipeg's tax base? Sexist tweets lead to a swift resignation from a Liberal candidate, and replacing 9 irons with ski poles. The golf course making this a better Winnipeg in winter.
From the Global Winnipeg studios, the evening news.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Pull out your wallet. There's another hike on the way.
One day after the city revealed your taxes are going up, it's confirmed your water bill could rise too.
I just shoveled it aside, and we didn't think too much of, or I didn't think too much of it at first.
Homes in a Winnipeg neighborhood are evacuated after construction crews find a suspicious package in a Crescentwood yard.
From the Global Winnipeg studios, News Hour Final with Heather Steele.
Thanks for joining us. Police taped off part of a Winnipeg neighborhood this afternoon after a suspicious discovery in a Crescentwood yard.
Tonight on News Final, suspect caught. The man wanted in connection to a suspicious death is located. We'll tell you where.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The search for a suspect wanted in connection with a death in Winnipeg is over.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. I'm Tamara Ferlansky. It took Mother Nature just a few minutes to display her sometimes destructive power.
You're watching Global Winnipeg. This is Global News Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining us. We were just talking about some healthy eating substitutions. Mike, what can we take from that?
Today on Global News Morning.
A crowded mayoral race in Winnipeg with a much smaller list vying for a seat on council. Why one political expert says fewer could be looking to take on that job. And a Winnipeg restaurant owner sounding the alarm over petty crime. What he's seeing at his two businesses and how much he's had to spend fixing the damage. Plus, many Brandon residents are waking up under a boil water advisory this morning. What city officials are saying about a major break in the Wheat City.
You're watching Global Winnipeg. This is Global News Morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. It is 6 o'clock on your Tuesday. Bring in Kayla Evans. Bit of a tumultuous night last night. It seems like there was a lot of activity across southern Manitoba.
Manitoba's reopening plan.
Manitobans have really stepped up.
Gets a date to go ahead. Allegations of mistreatment and neglect in Ontario care homes.
Because if they say something, then that puts their job on their line.
Prompting questions about care here. And the future of active transportation routes.
Because they're popular, that means they should be expanded rapidly rather than closed.
As the city looks to reopen them to traffic.
You're watching Global Winnipeg. This is Global News at 6.
I'm able to say again that my faith and confidence in Manitobans has been heartened and strengthened as we continue to keep that COVID curve flat. I am very pleased today to announce that we're going to be able to move into phase 2 effective June the 1st.
Thanks for joining us. It's the date many Manitobans have been waiting to hear. Starting Monday, hundreds of Manitoba businesses will be able to reopen. Tonight on Global News at 10, moving forward, phase 2 of upgrades to the North End wastewater treatment plant finally get underway. What the improvements could mean for Manitoba waterways.
You're watching Global Winnipeg. This is Global News at 10.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. It's been a process, years in the making. And now the city of Winnipeg finally moving ahead with phase 2 of upgrades to the North End sewage treatment plant.
Hello and welcome to Focus Manitoba. Reading and writing is part of our everyday lives, but imagine having trouble speaking simple words.
On September 10th, 2019, in the upcoming provincial election.
And with that, the stage was set. For the 42nd time in Manitoba history, the people have the opportunity to decide the future of our province. Brian Pallister challenged by fresh faces. With Wab Canoe now leading the NDP.
I'm running to be your next premier so that we can fix healthcare.
And Dougald Lamont with the Liberals.
There are people who are not happy with what happened with the Pallister PCs.
Promises have been made.
More jobs and less debt. Back onto being a province for all of us.
Predictable, stable funding.
We've got to roll back the changes that were done.
And through it all, we listen to you.
This is not an isolated situation. This has happened to other people.
I would definitely link the robberies that we've seen to just fast cash for drugs.
Licensed practical nurses working whose jobs were totally eliminated.
Will Manitobans stay the course with the Progressive Conservatives, or is new leadership needed? This is Decision Manitoba. Good evening, and thank you for joining us for Decision Manitoba 2019. This is your provincial election headquarters. Global News and 680 CJOB are teaming up for extensive coverage tonight, bringing you election results when they happen, along with analysis of what the future holds for Manitoba. 7:30 on your Friday. Stay with us as we wrap up the week here at Global News Morning. Let's take a look at what's making headlines.
We're talking potholes. Manitoba, CAA Manitoba says they are offering new top-up coverage. We'll explain to you why some drivers aren't happy with the move. Plus, the Jets' home opener goes tonight. We'll tell you about some changes to the roster.
And another morning of rain and flurries expected around here today. Another windy day as well, but there is some sunshine in the forecast. I'll tell you when you can expect that in just a little bit. A quick look outside on the roads this morning, see how things are shaping up. Out from the Lakeview Resort in Gimli, just looking for that sunrise in about 15 minutes.
You're watching Global Winnipeg. This is Global News Morning.
Winnipeg police made an arrest after a woman was allegedly sexually assaulted during a massage therapy appointment.
Winnipeg's homelessness crisis. A look at the problem and potential solutions as we elect a new mayor and council. Pothole protection. CAA offering up new top-up tire protection after claims surge. But is the coverage worth it? Also tonight, a tradition since 2015. We take you down to our annual Knickers and Kickers event, collecting new socks and underwear for Silo Mission.
This is Global News Winnipeg. Global News at 6 starts now.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. It's an ongoing issue in our city made worse by the pandemic. Many Winnipeggers don't have a safe place to call home.
Tonight on Global News at 10, how to tackle Winnipeg's homelessness crisis. The experts weigh in on the solutions, and the mayoral candidates reveal how they'll try and fix it.
You're watching Global Winnipeg. This is Global News at 10.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. With the snow flying and the weather getting cooler, it's bringing the issue of homelessness into the spotlight again, and the many Winnipeggers who have no place to call home.
I have the story written.
Why don't you just
set up for get that done later.
Colleague Lars and Diana, are you?
Eileen calling the newsroom.
Interview with the minister.
But it's going to run long.
He's already done a story on